Hey besties, welcome to another episode of the Social Media Manager Bible podcast. And today we're going to be talking about something different, something new, but something still relatable to social media management and social media marketing. I have been binge watching Emily in Paris from the very first season because I was captivated by the storyline and the fact that she also works in marketing. But so far, 4 seasons down the line, it has turned into Emily making terrible decisions concerning our love life. But that's not what I want to talk about in this podcast episode. I am going to be sharing with you 10 marketing lessons I have learned from watching Emily in Paris for the past 4 seasons. I'm not going to be taking love advice from Emily anytime soon, but there are so many marketing lessons I am going to be taking from Emily's experience since she moved to Paris. If you're someone who has been binging the movie from the very first season, you would resonate with me, and probably you might have seen some more lessons that I haven't seen, but yeah, in case you're new here, hi, my name is Balaji. I am the social media ogre, and I'm all about teaching anyone who cares to listen how to use social media the right way. If you're listening to me on any of the podcast platforms, don't forget to follow, don't forget to rate this podcast, and don't forget to leave a review because, yes, it just helps me climb the podcast ladder and the podcast ranking or whatever they call it. And if you're watching on YouTube and you're new here, you're gonna love it here. Make sure to binge watch the videos on my channel if you're someone looking to start a career as a social media manager or you're already practicing as a social media manager. It is the channel for you. I promise I always give as many tips as possible for free. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you never miss out on a video, because trust me, I always churn out video like I'm owing somebody money, and lately I have been creating like that. Let's go right into 10 marketing lessons I have learned from Emily. My trusted iPad is here and I can't even wait to upgrade my iPad like on on another note. I'm like, I need a bigger one for space. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the cultural sensitivity and awareness. Emily's first mistakes when she moved to Paris was not being culturally sensitive, that she was no longer living in Chicago, but she was now living in Paris. Everything she was doing it like an American, forgetting that she was actually now in Paris. As a social media manager, you need to be culturally aware and sensitive. If you have a client that you're managing for, maybe you are living in Manchester and your client lives in Italy, you need to be culturally aware of the way they speak, the lingua they use, the way and we could see from Paris that most of them actually don't work on certain days. They come on time, but they come the time they're supposed to resume. You know, most times from when I lived in Nigeria, if we have to be at work by probably 8, most of us get there by 7, maybe because of traffic, or we get there by 6 because of traffic. People in Paris don't actually care. Emily wasn't culturally sensitive. Now, for social media managers, what does this mean? It means that when you're working with a client, whether it's in your location or in a different location, because their target audience might be in a different location, you need to make proper research and you need to understand what their cultural norms are. You need to know what it is their culture is of the target audience. You need to be well informed about the holidays they have, their cultural norms, the sensitivities of their target market, so that you don't actually make a mistake when it comes to creating content for that client. You need to also adapt content and campaigns to local preferences and also avoid cultural faux pas. Basically, a lot of mistakes that Emily made in the beginning, and she's still currently making it 4 seasons down the line, is she still feels like she's in America. She hasn't properly, how would I say it? She hasn't properly entered the Paris system. There's still so many things that after living in Paris for like years that she hasn't even learned as someone who has lived in America all her life. You need to adapt the content and the campaigns you create for your clients into the local preferences of their target audience. Another thing is, if you're working with a client that works with influencers, consider using local influencers and local content creators, because they have been in the system for way longer than you, that's trying to tap into the target market, and they'll be able to create content that resonates with their target audience, with the cultural lingo, with the cultural norms, with the cultural sensitive phrases that you might not be able to create with. Number 2 is authenticity and vulnerability. Emily was very authentic. She is still the same authentic Emily till today. And she is very vulnerable. She approaches her work life and her personal life like she does on a normal day. There is no fakeness with Emily. No, there is no fakeness. And she knows how to cry. Emily's genuine approach to everything with her authenticity and vulnerability actually drew me in. As a social media manager that probably has like a personal brand, you should share behind the scenes content of your life. Emily shared a whole lot of that about her own life. And even when she made mistakes, she was willing to learn from the mistake and be genuine about it. If you make a mistake when it comes to your content, don't try to put in a brave font. Be genuine about your mistakes. Be genuine about the challenges you face. Share the behind the scenes of your life if you have a personal brand. Another marketing lesson I learned from Emily is she was very open about the challenges of the company she was working for and the things she was facing. If as a company you're struggling with challenges, or the client you're working with is having some challenges, maybe reaching the right people, figuring out what kind of products the target audience needs, be vulnerable with that request. Not everybody is out there to attack you. Some people would genuinely want to offer you advice. Some people would genuinely want to offer their opinion to help you actually reach your target audience. Another thing I learned from Emily under the authenticity and vulnerability part is she was always using personal and conversational tones in our caption. As a social media manager managing for a brand, you want to create posts like you're talking to one person. Always have personal conversations with one person, that when somebody's reading this caption, they'll be like, oh, this post is talking to me. How are you in my head? Get out of my head, or something like that. You want to make sure that you create captions like you're talking to just one person. Number 3 has to be visual storytelling. This is not even about Emily, but the entire show shows stunning visuals of Paris, filled with fashion, filled with a very captivating narrative without even showing words. What do you have to learn from this as a social media manager? You need to invest in high quality equipment for your visuals. Invest in a very good phone, invest in a very great camera, proper lighting. Like if, for example, you came on my YouTube, for those watching on YouTube, and it was very, very grainy and everything, you probably would not stay for this long, forgetting the fact that, oh, I've built a very engaged audience or a very engaged community. You want to make sure that you invest in the best quality gadgets that will give you the high quality content that the audience will resonate with. Also, you want to tell your clients to invest in high quality gadgets, high quality photos, videos that the audience will not be able to scroll past. Based on the visual storytelling, you want to use Instagram Reels, TikTok Stories, Instagram Stories. You want to use it to tell stories. The way the entire show is, or it was written, tells different stories about Paris. I have learned so much even without stepping my foot into Paris. So you want to make sure that you are telling visual stories on a daily basis with the brands that you manage. Another thing I noticed concerning the show when it came to their storytelling is it is consistent. They never deviated from Emily's coming from Chicago, let them try to infuse. No. They are very consistent with the narrative around Paris. You want to develop a consistent visual style that aligns with a brand's identity, or your brand's identity, or the brand's identity that you're managing as a social media manager. Number 4 has to be influencer marketing. Emily did a whole lot of influencer marketing than even social media management. I remember there was a season she collaborated with Pierre Cardin. I hope I pronounced that well. And the movie showed the powers of collaborating with the right influencers. If you're someone that is into influencer marketing, you want to make sure that the brands that you work with, you are collaborating with the right influencers for those brands. If you are a social media manager that also dabbles into influencer marketing, you want to make sure that the influencers that you are reaching out to on behalf of the brand are a right fit with the right personality, with the right target audience for the brand. And when it came to influencer marketing, Emily made sure she developed a personal relationship with this influencer. It wasn't just the transactional one. There was also a personal relationship, getting to know them, getting to know how they think, how they lived their lifestyle. And it was very easy for the campaigns to be successful because it wasn't just about the money. It was also about their lifestyle. It was also about understanding what kind of campaigns you would run with a particular influencer. Number 5 has to be brand consistency. Even though Emily had lived in Paris for a while, she was still very unique in her fashion stance and her style. She was very consistent, or she is still consistent, because there are still a lot of episodes which I think is going to be around Emily's confused love life or something else. She was still very, very consistent around her personal style, and that made her a very strong brand. Emily, no matter how much I have been very annoyed from season 2, I have been watching the movie because Emily has been consistent in her brand style, in her brand tone of voice. Literally, consistency is the key to building a strong brand. And I can tell you, Emily in Paris has actually built a strong brand. No matter how much people complain about the movie, we're still watching it. So what does this mean for social media managers or marketers? Make sure you are consistent in the brand tone of voice, the brand style, the brand's visual, because you want to be consistent and it will help you build a very, very strong brand. You also want to make sure that your messaging on all platforms is consistent. You don't want to be saying a different thing on LinkedIn, saying a different thing on Twitter, saying a different thing on Facebook. On TikTok, you're trolling another brand, and on Instagram, you're being the faithful brand and everything. No. You want to make sure that you maintain a consistent image or consistent messaging on all platforms that you are on. Number 6, which is one of the reasons why I love Emily today, is she was always embracing her failures and learning from her mistakes. Embrace failure and learn from your mistake. If you follow me on Instagram or you follow me on TikTok, you'll see that I have made a whole lot of mistakes in my journey as a freelancer for the past 4 years. I have had to archive most of my old posts because I'm going to be recreating them again with updated information. There was a time that I was copying word for word from different blog sites, and I got slammed with a copyright claim. Trust me. You want to make sure you learn from your mistake and also embrace your failures. There was a time I started a course and I knew that I couldn't complete it. I had to refund people's money back. It was from learning from my failures. Embrace failures and also learn from it. That's one of the things Emily still does till today. She makes mistakes, but she also embraces her failures and she's like, okay, what can I learn from this? What this means for social media managers is, number 1, you want to try A/B testing for most of your posts. Some of your posts will do well, some of your posts will not do well, and that's fine. I do A/B testing even for my YouTube. Some videos actually do really well, and some videos are still stuck in 100 views. Some videos have passed the 2,000 view mark in 7 days. Some videos, even after a month, they're still in 100 views. Basically, just test what works, because social media and the digital landscape is constantly evolving, and it is an ever evolving and a constantly changing landscape. Basically, you get that right. Number 7 has to be community building. Emily has built a community in Paris. She moved from Chicago, where she had none. She was not an influencer in Chicago, and then she moved to Paris, became an influencer, and she had built a community. Emily's network in Paris, through her genuine connections and her shared experiences, helped her to build a community. I would say I learned a lot a little bit from Emily when it came to my community building. So for social media managers, what this means for you is actively engage with your followers through comments and also direct messaging. Make sure you're always engaging with them. Create content that always encourages user participation, like polls or maybe Q&A sessions, and host virtual or in-person events that would help you connect with your community. Number 8 has to be personal branding. Emily's personal style and her approach to work became part of a professional identity. No matter how much Sylvie feels like she hates Emily, she loves the way Emily approaches her work. Personal branding is very essential to success in social media management or social media marketing. And for social media managers, what does this mean? It means you should share the spotlight if you're working with a company or if you're managing the brand page for a company that has employees. Make sure to share the spotlight accordingly amongst employees. Allow the brand's personality to shine through in their social media interactions. Like, for example, I don't know if you guys have seen how Duolingo is killing it on TikTok. Make sure to go study how they are killing it, because they allow their brand's personality to actually shine through in their social media interactions. Number 9 has to be the language and tone. Emily has learned the importance of adapting a communication style to our audience. You need to be very, very mindful, very, very demure, very cutesy of the language and tone you use when it comes to social media marketing. What does this mean for social media managers? You want to adjust your tone on different platforms. You want to be very professional on LinkedIn, very playful on TikTok, in between on Instagram. You also want to use language that actually resonates with your target audience. This morning I saw a video of Pure Gym. It was a very, very old man, and is over 60, should be over 60, was in Pure Gym, and it was saying the Gen Z lingo, or kick it, or demure, cutesy. It was like talking like a Gen Z, and that is, and the ad is actually killing it and is making numbers. So you want to know the language that resonates with your audience, with the target audience that you're trying to reach. Also, be mindful of the idioms or phrases that you use within your content, within your videos, because a lot of them might not translate well globally. The last but not the least marketing lessons, this is number 10, is adaptability and flexibility. Emily frequently had to think on her feet and adapt to unexpected situations, and it felt like in every single scenario she was having unexpected situations. There was always something that came up. You need to be adaptable and flexible as a social media manager. You need to stay informed about what the platform changes are, because there's always a new update. You need to be prepared to quickly adapt and adjust your content strategy in response to the current events that are happening around the world. And you also need to have a crisis management plan. Emily faced a whole lot of crises. There was so many crises. Sometimes things would just happen. I'll be like, oh my God, is it just Emily? But she had a way to approach this crisis. It's like she had a crisis management plan at the back of her mind. And it has taught me to always have like a crisis management plan at the back of my mind every single time. These are the 10 marketing lessons I have learned from watching Emily in Paris. I hope you found this podcast episode helpful. It's something different because I don't think I have ever done a review. I've only created posts about it on Instagram and on LinkedIn. I don't think I've ever done a review or about something I've learned from something else. So this is me also A/B testing to see what works with my audience. And it's so good to be back on the podcast episode, because I have missed you guys a whole lot. I am looking forward to being very consistent now that I'm done with my dissertation, at least before I decide what it is I want to do next, what phase I'm going to do next. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, you already know what to do. Let's meet in the comment section. And if you're listening to me on Spotify, I think you can start leaving comments. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.